Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about probability. Probability is a measure of how likely an event is to happen. It is possible to have 100% probability, where the event is certain to happen, or it's also possible to have 0% probability, which makes an event impossible. The heart of probability, we're talking about randomness. Flipping a coin, spinning a spinner, rolling a dice. These are all what we would call random processes. There are two types of probability that we're going to talk about. Experimental, which is probabilities determined based on real-world data. For example, age of drivers in an accident. We can figure out the probability of being a 16-year-old driver in an accident versus being a 34-year-old driver in an accident. And to do this, we look at the data and what we have. So that's called experimental. Then there's theoretical probability. This can be determined without real-world data. For example, rolling a dice. You can pick up a dice at any time and roll it, and you have the same probability of getting something. It does not require any data collection in order to do it. When calculating the probability of something, the something is called an event. So in this case, the event is the age of the driver in an accident. And in this one, the event is rolling a dice. So we're looking at events when we talk about probability. Okay, so when we want to write the probability of something happening, we write the P of the event. For example, P of rolling a 3 on a dice, or P of winning the lottery. Probabilities are always written as a number between 0 and 1, because we're usually getting a percentage. So that number is going to be that decimal greater than 0 and less than 1. Remember, 0 means it's impossible to happen, whereas 1 means it's 100% to happen. So your probability is going to fall somewhere in between, and then it's as a decimal, and then we make it a percent. So the way to determine it is you take your P of event, whatever it may be, and it's the number of ways an event can happen, divided by the number of total possible outcomes. So for example, we want to determine A up here, probability of rolling a 3 on a dice. So we would say P of rolling a 3. Okay, well, a dice has 6 sides. So that's the number of ways that the event can happen. So when you have one dice, what number of ways you can get a 3? There's only one, because there's only one 3 on that square. What's the total number of possible outcomes? Where there's 6 sides, so the total number is 1/6. So your probability would be 1/6, which you could then take and make into a decimal or a percent. But 1/6 is definitely between 0 and 1. It's fairly close to 0, actually. What if I changed it, and still talking about dice, and I said rolling an even number? Okay, so we come over here. So 6 sides, there's 3 even numbers, 1 or 2, 4, and 6. So we have 3. We still have 6 possible outcomes because I'm only rolling one time. So 3 out of 6, we're going to simplify that to 1/2, or 0.50, 50%. So there's a 50% chance that when you roll a die, you're going to get an even number. Consequently, there's also a 50% chance that you would get an odd number, but in this case, we're just worried about the even. So this is the basics of probability.